A veterinarian observed an unusual ultrasound of a pregnant tigress and immediately contacted the police. John Pringle had always harbored a deep love for animals since his childhood, growing up surrounded by a diverse array of creatures, including 2 dogs, 2 cats, guinea pigs, rabbits, and more. His passion for these animals led him to aspire to work with them when he grew up. Upon reaching adulthood, John fulfilled his dream by establishing his own zoo, where he eagerly collected as many exotic animals as he could find. From wolves to lions, his zoo, named John's Zoo, boasted an impressive assortment of captivating creatures. However, among all these majestic animals, John held a special affection for tigers. The tiger's enormous size and stunning fur never ceased to amaze him, and he delighted in observing them in their enclosures as they went about their daily lives. The fascination was not his alone, as many of the zoo's visitors were equally enthralled by these magnificent big cats. Consequently, a large crowd often gathered around the tiger's enclosure, eager to catch a glimpse of these extraordinary animals. John's zoo was home to just 2 tigers, both females named Julie and Shade. These tigresses frequently lounged in their spacious enclosure, basking in the warm sun. To make their activities more engaging for visitors, John devised entertaining ways to feed the animals, such as freezing their meat with thin blocks of ice, which the big cats had to nudge and push to access their meals. Additionally, he would hang their food from high trees or conceal it around the enclosure, encouraging the tigers to leap and play, providing an entertaining spectacle for the guests. However, a few years after the zoo's inception, attendance began to decline. Decreasing visitor numbers meant dwindling revenue, and John feared that he might have to shutter the attraction and relocate his beloved animals elsewhere. In a bid to reverse this trend, he decided that introducing a baby animal to the park could draw in new patrons. Given his affinity for tigers, he resolved to breed them. Over the ensuing months, John diligently searched for a male tiger to pair with his females. Despite his efforts, he couldn't locate a reputable breeder with a suitable male. Becoming increasingly desperate to welcome tiger cubs to the zoo, John even explored more dubious avenues for assistance. Eventually, he encountered an individual willing to provide access to a male tiger for breeding with Julie. Ecstatic about the prospect, John promptly arranged the necessary arrangements. However, one condition imposed by the breeders was that Julie had to be temporarily relocated to their enclosure while the mating process took place. Although initially skeptical, John's determination to have tiger cubs compelled him to accept these terms. Before long, Julie began displaying signs of pregnancy. John arranged for a veterinarian to visit the zoo and conduct an ultrasound to confirm the pregnancy and assess the health and development of her cubs. The ultrasound confirmed that Julie was indeed pregnant and her cubs appeared to be thriving. As the months passed, Julie's size and apparent discomfort indicated that she was approaching the time for giving birth. Yet, despite outward signs of readiness, she inexplicably resisted delivering her cubs. John found himself thoroughly perplexed by Julie's refusal to give birth to her cubs, despite his best efforts to ensure her comfort and safety in the enclosure and birthing cage he had meticulously prepared. Worried about both the tigress's health and her unborn offspring, John decided to seek the assistance of a veterinarian to uncover the cause of this unusual behavior. When the vet arrived at John's zoo, he immediately attended to the distressed tigress, who had lain down and was struggling to get back up. It was evident that the tigress was in severe pain, raising concerns for both John and the vet. The veterinarian began to examine Julie's abdomen, searching for any abnormalities. To his surprise, he encountered a strange, hardened lump in her lower abdomen, prompting immediate concern. Fearing the worst, the vet decided to sedate Julie and perform an ultrasound to further investigate the issue. After a few minutes of the ultrasound, the vet abruptly halted the procedure and informed John that he needed to make an urgent phone call. Perplexed, John agreed and watched as the vet left the area. Minutes passed before the vet returned to the surgery, where John anxiously inquired about the tigress's condition. The vet reassured John that everything would be fine, but explained that he required some additional assistance and needed to perform a minor surgery. Roughly 15 minutes later, the sound of sirens reached John's ears, resembling police sirens heading toward the zoo. Shortly thereafter, a police car arrived and 2 officers emerged. Baffled by the sudden turn of events, John asked the vet for an explanation. The vet believed that an illegal implant was causing Julie's distress, and he intended to remove it during a small surgical procedure. While the surgery was underway, the police questioned John about the origins of his tigers, his breeding practices, and the breeder he had engaged. John, feeling both bewildered and concerned, responded to the inquiries as honestly as possible, recounting his experiences with the breeder who had taken possession of Julie while attempting to impregnate her. The police informed John that the breeder he had dealt with had a notorious reputation for trafficking exotic animals on the black market. It was likely that the implant had been placed in Julie to monitor her and her cubs, with the intention of stealing the cubs for later sale. John was shocked by this revelation, as he had no inkling that such nefarious activities were being carried out against these majestic and innocent animals. Once the police were satisfied with John's statement, they retrieved the implant from the vet and departed the zoo, determined to apprehend the breeder responsible. Meanwhile, the vet successfully helped Julie give birth to 3 adorable and healthy tiger cubs. However, when John finally laid eyes on the baby tigers, he was taken aback by an extraordinary sight. One of the cubs was a pure white tiger, an exceptionally rare creature. It became evident to John that this particular cub was likely the breeder's target for theft. Fortunately, with the combined efforts of the police and the vet, the cub was safe from harm, and John was able to cherish and care for his delightful tiger family at his zoo. After a few days of rest, John eventually released Julie and her cubs back into their enclosure. The heartwarming presence of this charming tiger family drew many new visitors to the zoo, ensuring its continued operation. For John, witnessing the interactions and playfulness among the tiger family was more rewarding than he could have ever imagined. Furthermore, he received news from the police that they had successfully located and apprehended the breeder responsible for the illegal implant, bringing an end to the threat posed to his tigers. John was overjoyed, knowing that his tigers could now live and grow together in happiness and safety.